I was deep in a podcast recording, my voice echoing through the cozy barn-turned studio on my 15-acre farm in Willow Bend, Nebraska, when a deafening crash jolted me out of my script. Metal slammed into wood, a sound like a freight train derailing. I rushed to the window, heart pounding, and saw a black Honda Accord reversing from the wreckage of my duck pen. Behind the wheel, grinning like she'd just won the lottery, was Carla Simmons, the self-proclaimed HOA tyrant of a neighborhood group that didn't exist. This wasn't a fender bender. This was war. I'm a true crime podcaster, digging into mysteries for a Lee-Vy-ing, but nothing prepared me for the real-life thriller unfolding on my own land. How far would you go to protect your home from a neighbor gone rogue? Stick with Med, his story's about to get wild. It all started 2 weeks earlier at 3 a.m. when my security system pinged my phone. I pulled up the feed and froze. A woman with wild, dyed red hair, clutching a clipboard like it was a badge of honor, was sneaking across my property with a measuring tape. In the dead of night, she was measuring the distance from my barn to the fence line, precise as a surveyor. I hit the intercom, voice shaky. "Ma'am, you're trespassing. What are you doing?" She looked right into the camera, her smile cold enough to raise goosebumps, and waved her clipboard. "I'm conducting an official Willow Bend Property Council inspection. Your property's out of compliance." Her tone was rehearsed, dripping with fake cheer, but there was a glee underneath that made my stomach churn. I'd moved to this farm 3 months ago to escape the city grind, chasing quiet for my podcast, Shadow Fields Uncovered. The place was perfect rolling fields, a 1900s barn with killer acoustics, a duck pen for fresh eggs, and space for my huskies, Scout and Luna, to roam. It was my sanctuary. Now, this stranger was tearing that apart. She flashed a laminated ID, clearly homemade, proclaiming her community compliance officer. When I told her she had no right to be here, she started reading violations loud enough to wake the dead. My barn was 14 inches too tall. My duck pen disrupted VY Sewell harmony. The absurdity was almost funny, but her VY tie-in wasn't. She believed she owned my land. As she documented my property, muttering into a recorder, I realized she knew my farm better than I did. She dodged fences in the dark like she'd mapped every inch. This wasn't her first VY sit. My safe haven wasn't safe anymore. Doubt crept in had I missed some regulation when I bought the place. Her confidence was contagious. Even at 3 a.m., non-compliance will lead to escalated measures, she warned before DRI VYing off in her Honda, circling my property like a vulture. The 40-minute ordeal was all on camera, but I felt like she'd already won. Morning revealed the truth. My farm was plastered with yellow violation notices. My mailbox was 6 inches too close to the road, my garden too eclectic for community standards. The details screamed obsession hours of spying to notice my kale patches. This wasn't a prank, it was a calculated attack. Carla's campaign became a twice-weekly nightmare, every Tuesday and Friday bringing 3 new citations, each more personal. When I planted sunflowers, she cited unauthorized flora. When I added studio lights, she called it light pollution. She was studying me, targeting what I loved. Worse, she turned my neighbors against me. Carla invented the Willow Bend Property Alliance and spread lies that my farm was tanking their home values. She posted flyers about emergency compliance meetings, using sneaky photos from her trespassing sprees. Neighbors I'd barbecued with started avoiding me. Mrs. Larson, who'd gifted me jam when I moved in, wouldn't look at me. The mailman left packages at the road, muttering about dog complaints, though Scout and Luna were angels. Carla's fake authority was isolating me. Then she hit my livelihood. She filed a complaint with my podcast platform, claiming I was inciting harassment against community leaders. Fake accounts flooded my show with bad re-VYUs, and an episode vanished for re-VYEW. Watching my work disappear gutted me. This wasn't just about my farm anymore, she was after my life. I decided to fight back, not with her games, but with mine, research and exposure. I dug into Carla's past. Public records showed she'd been fired from 4 jobs for bullying clients and lost every HOA election she'd run in. More chilling, She targeted homeowners across 3 counties, pressuring them to sell cheap with her fake authority act. I turned my findings into a podcast episode, The Myth of Authority, A Neighbor's Vendetta, We VYing Inter Trespassing Audio, and VY Tim Interview YUs. The episode blew up, with thousands downloading and sharing. A retired lawyer, Esther Brooks, contacted me with a bombshell. Carla was part of a criminal ring that harassed owners into selling for profit. Carla didn't back down, she doubled down. 3 days after my episode, she showed up at my gate with 2 men in hard hats, posing as city inspectors. Dressed in a fake uniform, she handed me official papers citing unsafe structures. The documents looked real until I spotted fake statutes. I recorded everything, asking for their case number. When I called City Hall on speaker, the clerk confirmed they were imposters. Carla's cool cracked. "You can't hide behind bureaucracy," she screamed, spray painting my mailbox and cutting my gate's lock. Deputies arrived as she defaced my barn, arresting her for vandalism and fraud. But 18 hours later, she was out on bail, and the harassment turned sinister. Dead birds on my porch, cut internet, midnight calls. I organized a live podcast, Authority Unmasked, with 12 of Carla's VY Tims. As we shared stories of her scams, she showed up, banging on my door, screaming about illegal broadcasting. Thousands watched her try to break in, spray painting my house while ranting about community standards. Deputies arrested her again. Her meltdown live-streamed to an outraged audience. We thought it was over. We were wrong. A week later, I was recording when a crash shook my studio. I ran to the window. Carla's Honda had obliterated my duck pen. Feathers and would rain down as she laughed, blood trickling from her forehead. Then she floored it toward my barn. I dialed 911, sprinting outside as her car slammed into the wall, steam hissing from the wreckage. She stumbled out, clipboard in hand, shouting, "Violation enforced." Neighbors gathered, filming as Esther yelled, "That's attempted murder." Deputies found maps and notes in Carla's car, pro-VYing she'd planned the attack for weeks. The FBI took over, uncovering a multi-million-dollar property scam. Carla's phone showed she'd stalked 12 owners, pocketing $250,000 from real estate crooks who flipped distressed homes. She wasn't just delusional, she was a hired intimidator, her narcissism weaponized. Her trial was a circus. Representing herself, she lectured VY Tims about standards, even as footage of her barn crash played. The jury took 3 hours to convict her of assault, fraud, and racketeering. The judge gave her 9 years, $500,000 in restitution, and a lifetime ban from my county. 18 months later, a letter arrived. In prison, Carla had faced her demons. "I hurt you to feel powerful," she wrote. In a super VY said meeting, she was a shadow of her former self, apologizing without excuses. "My farm's peaceful now, the duck pen rebuilt, the barn a survivor." My podcast series on Carla's crimes is studied by cops and advocates. Willow Bend stronger, free of fake HOAs. But here's where it gets messy. Was Carla a VY Tim of her own mind, manipulated by crooks, or a willing VY lane? Should her prison therapy count as redemption, or is it too late after so much pain? Could you forgive someone who wrecked your home? Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And what would you do? Like, subscribe, and let's keep exposing the truth together.